Hello. It has been a while. There's really no reason other than life got really busy, and I feel like up until maybe last week, the new year 2026 was just kind of like 2025 just continued, like its energy just kind of continued into 2026 for me. Just like the up and down roller coaster kind of energy. So yeah, it's been a while. I do also feel that, whenever I started this journey with, self-discovery, authenticity journey, I told myself that I was just not going to hold back on trying to see like what clicked for me. So I started a lot of different things at once. I started my blog, I started Substack, I started this channel, I started Instagram. There was an Instagram for my cats that I revamped and started posting on again. And I just wanted to see what clicked for me. So I think what eventually happened is I just kind of got tired of pursuing all of it so intensely, or trying to pursue it so intensely. But the two things that have come back to me are this channel and my blog. So Substack, while I believe it is a really, really nice platform, especially for writers and just people who really love, they're like aesthetically driven and everything. I think it's a great platform for that. It's just not really it hasn't really done much for me. I think it kind of feels just like another Instagram type social media app for me, where you end up scrolling for a long time, reading what other people are saying about, there's this interesting thing that's been happening for several years now about, I don't want to call it a toxic positivity, or like it's like a toxic encouragement or something, where like everyone is encouraging you to post about yourself. And what I found on Substack is like there's just so many what feel like curated posts about, it doesn't matter how many followers you have, just write every day and post something every day. Or, I started off with 0 followers, now I have 10,000, and that's because I wrote every day and posted something every day. And I get that. I understand that approach. There's just so many people posting about that though. Like it doesn't feel genuine sometimes. It almost feels like a toxic positivity, toxic encouragement thing of like, just put your nose to the pavement and just grind, because you'll eventually get there. And I was raised with I was taught to believe that, you have to work hard for your success. And I do believe that. But I also believe in trusting your gut, trusting your instincts. And that's been something that's come up for me a lot. I've actually done a lot of reprogramming with that since even just before I started the journey with authenticity through TBM, to be magnetic. When I started therapy several years ago, here comes the first. Come on. Here comes the first cat interruption. Here comes the second. Hello, this is Thomas. The first cat was Finn. Tom really likes to interrupt me when I'm talking. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be my work calls. It could be doing something like this. Doesn't matter. He needs to be right here. I love you very much. Okay, goodbye. Go. You're gonna be too distracting. Anyway, and he also doesn't understand no. So we're gonna give Tom some love real fast. Much love to Tommy. Much love to Tom. Okay, goodbye. But when I started therapy, there was a very obvious disconnect between me and my intuition. And my therapist then was like, you know the answers, Stacy. You feel them. Like, you feel very intensely and very deeply, you know, you've got to start trusting your instincts. You've got to start trusting your gut. And I've always known what that meant, but I think that when you're young, when you're growing up, you're looking outwards so much for guidance because that's what we're taught. We're taught to trust the adults in our lives and the authority figures. We look to them for guidance. I think for my generation specifically, and I know that I'm not speaking for my entire generation, I'm sure there are plenty of people who were potentially taught different, but I think overall for my generation, we were not really taught to trust our instincts. We were taught to depend on our parents and the adults in our lives. So when I started therapy and this concept of, you know, trusting your gut came up, I was like, what? What do you mean? Over the years, I have honed in on the craft, because it really is something that you have to practice when you're so out of touch with it. I've really honed in on it, and it's been one of the best pieces of the work, the most rewarding pieces of the work that I've done over the last, 10 years now, I think, or something, almost 10 years of therapy. And then you mix it with To Be Magnetic, and it's all really come full circle for me, and I'm very, very thankful for that, because where before I would have I would have described myself as someone who had a really hard time making decisions, I am able to make really much faster decisions now. So again, going back to all of these avenues I was pursuing, my gut was like, Substack is just not for you, and keeping up on Instagram is just not for you. I mean, I said in my very first video, or my first however many videos, like, I'm not an influencer. That is not my aim. My aim is just to storytell and to connect with others that might resonate with my story, or with just my thoughts, I guess. And so this world that we're in right now, this society that is very social media driven, it's difficult. I feel that it's difficult for me to feel like I'm, I think it's easy for me to feel like I'm being left behind, or like I can't catch up. I can't keep up. That's I think the better way to describe it. And that's okay. You know, I've come to accept that. I've also been thinking a lot about, you know, what is my desire with this? You know, am I wanting to reach hundreds of thousands of people and be on podcasts and talk to people, and I don't know. Do I want this really far reach? And I think if that were to happen somehow, for whatever reason, that would be awesome. If it brought about good. But I've also been someone who's always said, if I were to get famous ever in my life, for who knows, I don't know that I would want to be like Sabrina Carpenter famous. I think that would make me wildly uncomfortable. I think of some of like the local celebrities here where I live, and I'm like, even that sometimes makes me feel like, ooh, I feel like I would, it would make me a little uncomfy, because there tends to become that mask, that persona that you have to put on. And I for one am not someone who is good at masking. I'm not someone who's good at having a persona for people. Whenever I used to drink, my friends and I, my husband and I, we would joke that I had alter egos. But yeah, I just never, it's never come natural to me to be able to like put on a performance, I suppose. And I'm not speaking of it in a negative way. I think that the people, especially the entertainers today, who are able to do that, like, I mean, bravo, it's tough work being an entertainer. I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but I'm sure it's also so exhausting mentally and emotionally. So, I think that's why we love documentaries so much about celebrities, because it gives us a look into their lives, into their real lives, instead of, or so we think. We don't really know. But anyway, I derailed a little bit. Personally, I'm not one who cares too much about celebrities. Now, that's not to say that if David Bowie somehow came back from the wherever he is, and if he were to walk in my door right now, I'd freak out a little bit. I'd freak out. But who's someone who's alive currently that Surge from System of a Down, if he were to walk in my door right now, I'd be very excited. I'd mostly just be really excited to talk to him and have really interesting conversation. But yeah, I don't know that celebrities just don't really do it for me. I don't know. Now, did I have a Justin Timberlake poster wall when I was in middle school? Yes, I did. But as you get older, I think that you realize, hopefully you realize, everyone is just human. I always like to say everyone poops, like Kim Kardashian also takes shits in the morning, I hope, I hope for her sake, like, we're all basically the same. We all have the same kind of makeup. We just have different life experiences and different paths of life. And some of those paths take us down really privileged, rich in money and in opportunity life experiences, and some of us go down like a pretty average, your average Joe path, and then some of us go down other paths that might, not be as rich in finances or opportunities, and it just different life experiences. But at the end of the day, we're all still the same. I like to think. On a human level, we're all equal. That's what I like to say. But anyway, I have just been really thinking about, you know, like I've said, I've come back to this channel and my blog, and those two things are feeling the best for me right now. I feel like, how I said at the beginning in my first video, I find it rewarding to hear my voice and to share my voice. And as far as my blog goes, I love writing. I've always wanted to be a writer, so I am fulfilling that desire and passion through that avenue. So I'm just going to stick to these two. I originally wanted to try to do one video a week. I think I'm going to try to get back to that because I think I've mentioned this before, but I also fall into this narrative of, you know, oh, you don't really have anything interesting to say. Like, your life is pretty normal. So, like, why would people really want to hear about your life and about your day or about what you think? But I said this to my dear friend Sarah, who has an amazing YouTube channel. I will link her YouTube channel. If you're into astrology, if you're into, I feel like just the best way to say it is like if you're into Sarah, which you will be into Sarah because she's extremely authentic, extremely loud in her authenticity, in like the best way. Anyway, I could go on about her for a while, but her and I were hanging out yesterday, and I told her that ever since I was little, I have wanted to talk to people. I've wanted to share my story. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that is cat drama. That is cat drama. Let's see if it will quiet on its own. Oh boy, one sec. Okay. Yeah, ever since I was little, I've always wanted to tell stories and talk to people and connect with people through stories. So, you know, that voice in my head that tells me that no one's going to care, or that, you know, my thoughts, my life, my experiences aren't worthwhile sharing. I think that is it's just an old narrative that I've picked up from society, from those in my life who have encouraged me more so to stay in a specific box because that's what they felt was safe, the safer choice. And I don't know if it's just because people were telling me to do things and I'm a Gemini. And I was like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want. There's Finn again. Hello, Finn. Maybe it was that. Maybe it was just like my natural stubbornness, my natural desire to dance to the beat of my own drum. Go, 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 go. But I've always felt very strongly that I just don't really, cat hair, not that I don't fit in with society. It's not that at all. it's just that I don't know that the societal norms, I've just never really felt super connected to those. They haven't really made sense to me. So even though that narrative of no one cares, it's not worthwhile to share, even though that's there and it was formed over time, it was kind of like conditioned into me, I'm happy to say that I'm able to realize that it's just a narrative now. It's a voice that I don't particularly listen to as often anymore. I told Sarah yesterday that, before, for most of my life, the negative imposter syndrome kind of voice was always much louder. Oh my gosh. There we go. Got the cat here. That voice was always much louder, and my higher self, the part of me that, my true authentic self, that voice was always much quieter, and it's actually flip-flopped now. The negative voice is much softer now. It's not so loud, and the authentic, magnetic, higher self part speaks much louder, and that is awesome. I'm not gonna lie, that is amazing to be able to realize. And for me, when I become aware of something, I'm able to lean into it more. So having that realization just made me go, oh, awesome, let's go. Like, let's lean into that more. But yeah, that voice has come up a couple times. And what I was saying is, so going back a little bit, I would like to try to post one video a week. I'd like to try to get back to that cadence, despite that little voice that's telling me, what are you going to talk about every week? You're not going to have enough interesting things to talk about. And the fact of the matter is, I will. Even if it's about a dream that I had the night before or something, I will absolutely have something to say. And, if no one watches my videos, cool. If some people watch my videos, cool. If someone watches my videos and they're like, these are the dumbest videos I've ever watched, cool. It happens. We have things that we're interested in, and then we have things that we're not so interested in, things that resonate, things that don't. But I've been wondering more and more lately about, what is my purpose in this life? Overall, I think my purpose, and really everyone's purpose, is to just live your life as fully as possible and be a beacon of love. As cliche as that might sound to some people, ever since I was a kid, I've been wondering, like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, what's my purpose here? I was introduced to death really early, and I think that I think I was 7. I was introduced to death very early, and I think that introduction led to it, like, opened a door that most people don't really experience or think of until they're older, I believe. Maybe like high school, college age. But I think that opened a door for me to think a lot more deeply about life and what is life? Why are we here? Why am I here? And that question used to upset me so much because I couldn't think of what my purpose was. I had several years where I was like, there's no reason why I'm here. I have no purpose. There's no reason why any of us are here. This place is just a dumpster fire. And there are definitely dumpster fire parts still, but I've been considering that question more lately, and I've asked myself, in 300 years, if someone comes across my name or a photo of me or a piece of my writing, because who knows? Things on the internet pretty much are around for forever now. But if someone were to come across something of me, a piece of me, what would I want to be remembered for? And my initial thought is that I would want to be remembered for being loving, being compassionate, and being a voice of, insert perfect word here, I'm not quite sure, being a voice of good, being a voice of being an authentic voice, being an authentic generational voice. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll be able to, as I go on my journey with this approach, maybe I'll be able to figure that word out. Or maybe there are several different words that can fit into that that space. But for myself, I want to live my life authentically and with love and with compassion and with empathy. I want to feel as much as I can feel. I want to experience as much as I can experience within what feels right for me. And I would want people to remember me for that, I suppose. That I did that I led with love, that I shared my story about healing the parts of me that can sometimes sabotage that, and all of the limiting beliefs that we pick up along our lives. I guess maybe I would just want to be known as someone who really did the damn thing. Really did the damn thing. So, yeah, I'm not really sure that there's a particular message to end with, other than I look forward to trying to get back into a cadence of posting more often and sharing some stories and thoughts and musings. And yeah, if you are so called, please share part of your story in the comments. I am not here just to solely hear myself talk and clear my throat chakra. I think that we all deserve the chance to share our story. We all have such interesting stories. We all have very unique life experiences that deserve to be heard. And I, for one, would like to hear them. So, yeah. See you next week, I guess. Okay, bye.